Good evening, everybody. This is the last lap. Welcome to everyone. It's so good to see our district leaders on Wadi, PDG's Wadi and Roger, and David, of course, who starred in that stellar video earlier. We also have my counterpart from District 7030, Luis. Hi, Luis, lovely to see you. Thanks for joining us. We also have PP Sheila Bethel, who is the Rotary Public Image Chair for Zone 33 and 34, joining us this evening. That sets us up for a really good evening with our Golden Nugget. Our Golden Nugget this evening is William Innes, past President William Innes, from the Rotary Club of Central Cayman Islands. Just so that you know, William is from District 7030. He was the youngest president at that time for his club, and he is the Assistant Rotary Public Image Chair. So can we welcome William this evening for our Golden Nugget?
Thank you very much for having me. Bonsoir. Good evening, everybody. I'm going to try and share my screen now. Hopefully y'all can see me okay. And I want to say thank you very much for that introduction. Protocol having been established, I would just like to thank DGE Lyle Chase for extending the invitation to address you all today for your Golden Nugget. This is especially significant for me, not only since it's a joint district event, but as a Barbadian living in the Cayman Islands, this is my first time presenting to my Rotary District 7030 family. Who is responsible for public image? This is an example of my Rotary Club right here, Rotary Club of Central Cayman Islands. And your Rotary Club may have a public image director or a public image chair. And for me, that's this gentleman right here. But beyond that, your club may also have a subcommittee on the public image team. And for us, it's these two people alongside Nadia. But here's a question. Who can provide content for social media to the public image subcommittee? All of my members and all of your members. So the golden nugget, the first golden nugget today is everyone is responsible for public image. All members are responsible. And how do you do that? You wear your Rotary pin. Take a photo for social media content generation. Share your club posts on social media. And add a Rotary signature on your emails. You can also use frames on Facebook for Rotary as well. And if you're that director or your chairperson, it's important that you build a strong public image team. So I'd encourage you to formalize that team's responsibilities and identify the duties. For example, you can have a person responsible for public relations, another person responsible for the newsletter if you have one, photography and video, social media, website, and technology. Try to find persons who have the experience and the knowledge to complement those roles. Ensure that there's clear ownership, and also as a committee member or president, ensure to give credit where it's due for those persons' efforts. So for example, for public relations, I would encourage you to invite press to attend events, for example. Newsletters would be to try and collate all the images as much as possible from various committee members. Photography, take pictures and videos at all club events. Send those photos to other public image team members. Social media, collaborate with the public image team and share content from those members as well. Website and technology, ensure you have the latest brand collaterals on your website and you're using Rotary's guides. So best practices, monthly updates, and highlighting club members always show the impact in what you're doing. The second golden nugget I'd say is consistency counts. When building your public image, a brand is more than just a logo. Rotary's wheel is much bigger than its brand. Sorry. It's a perception. It's how others think about us. It's not just how we see ourselves. When we talk about the Rotary brand, we're talking about the basic qualities and goals that unite all Rotary, Rotaract, district and zones. It's what we offer people who partner with us, join a club, or participate in our Rotary programs and projects. Our brand reflects our identity, our vision, and our essence, as well as our values. It represents our unique culture and our approach to creating lasting positive change. And this is the Rotary Police. You may be familiar with her, but this is my boss, RPIC Sheila Bethel, who's on the call today of Zone 34. Welcome, Sheila. She's from the Rotary Club of Nassau, Bahamas. And I think 7020 tends to tease her as the Rotary Police. As you can see here, she's dressed up as one. Now, of course, there are no Rotary Police, but everyone has a duty to ensure brand consistency so that Rotary and Rotaract clubs and our brands are universally recognized. If you see something creative and cute with the Rotary logo or the mark of excellence, it's 99% certain that it's not allowed. All members are encouraged to observe and ensure our brand is protected. So this is an example of common mistakes with our logo. If you're resizing images to use on any sort of collateral, ensure that you hold the shift key down when you're resizing those images so that they're not warped in any way. Also, examples of bad logo use here would be club-specific logos, which are no longer required under the guidelines. We need to use Rotary's voice and visual identities. The third nugget would be to use free Rotary tools that are available to you. The best way to ensure compliance with Rotary's voice and visual identity guidelines is to use these tools. For example, Rotary's People of Action campaign aims to bring the Rotary story to life for those who don't know us by showing Rotarians and Rotaractors as the people of action that we are, leaders who work together in communities to inspire, transform, connect, and celebrate what's possible. This campaign also motivates, engages, and inspires current and prospective members, as well as donors, partners, and supporters. But how do you use this campaign? The tools available to you on Rotary's Brand Center. You can see the Brand Center images, Brand Center videos, as well as voice and visual identity guidelines are available to you. The People of Action campaign tool is also available, so you can upload your own images as well. And the fourth golden nugget, register your club to compete in the Zone 34 citation. One of the best ways to ensure you have all of your public image needs covered is to participate in this citation. And we're pleased to announce for the first time that this is now going to be available online. So I'm going to teach you guys something interesting. If you have your cell phones, can you please take them out? For you to be able to register your club for this event or this citation, if you open your camera on your iPhone, for example, or if you have a QR code scanner on your phone and aim it at the screen that's in front of you, the link that you see there should pop up. Please feel free to click on that and add that to your favorites or to your bookmarks. The golden nugget summary. To recap, consistency is key. A brand is more than a logo. Everyone in the club is responsible for public image. Wear your pin, share your club posts on social media, add a Rotary signature to your emails, and use frames on Facebook for Rotary. In order to tell others about Rotary, you must know about Rotary. So learn from Rotary.org and use the free Rotary tools available to you. Also, I'd encourage you to compete in the Zone 34 public image citation. Now, of course, beyond your district in 7030 and 7020, you have your district public image chairs. But beyond there, you have support from Zone 34. So this is the listing of the new team from next year. So we're sorry to say goodbye to Sheila, but she's being replaced now by PDG Marshall Butler. Marshall is going to be responsible for 6930, 6950, 6970, and 6990. And you can see my other colleagues as well on the team. And I'm responsible for 7000, 7020, and 7030. And here to assist you, support you, advise you, answer your questions, provide you with public image materials, and update you on Rotary policies and campaigns. And finally, since I showed you that trick about how to scan a QR code, if you want my contact information, just point your camera back at that code and save my contact information at the top of your screen. Always feel free to reach out if you need any support. And the last thing I'll leave you with today is reminding you of our vision statement. Together we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. We have demonstrated that Rotary connects the world this year. Now it's time to open those opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, William, for that presentation and your golden nugget. And we're very thankful that you're part of 7030 before, and you continue to be part of 7030 from the Bahamas. Without any further ado, I'd like to ask DGN Sonia to please introduce our guest speaker, certainly the last, but by no means the least, that we have at our pets.
Sean Paddy, the inimitable. His bio reads, Sean Paddy is a Rotarian. G, best bio ever. I will reveal Sean Paddy at this time.
I guess that's my cue. So just so you all know, I'm not really blue, but I'm branded, right? To kind of go in line with today's topic. So I just want to jump right into it. I know everybody's time is valuable. So today we're going to talk a little bit about effective communications and public image. Thank you, William, for those golden nuggets. Actually, you just saved me a lot of time. So I'm going to actually skip through a little bit of what I had to say. But before I do that, actually, I was going to do something kind of cool. We've been doing these sessions now for going on, 2-3 months. And there's one thing that not everybody has been able to do so far. So I wanted to actually let everybody do it, as it's the last session and we got 173 people on, okay? I'm gonna unmute everybody and I want everybody just to scream as loud as they can into their screen in celebration of pets being done. On 3, okay? 1, 2, 3.
Yeah!
Well done, well done, well done.
Awesome!
Awesome. So, hope that was a little bit of a release for everybody. I know it's definitely a release for me. So we're gonna jump right into it, and I have a running bet for people who have sat through my presentations and my addresses before. I try to keep everybody on their toes by making a wager and making a bet with everyone. And today's bet is going to be, if you ask me a question based on what we're going to talk about today or something else that I cannot answer, I'm going to give $100 to the foundation. So pay attention, figure out something that's going to stump me or maybe even stump William, and see if we can earn a little bit of money towards Polio Plus, because that's who I'm going to give it to. Yeah. So let's just dive right in. So the first thing that I'm going to kind of talk about a little bit, and I'm going to be a little existential here in this presentation, because communications and public image and public relations, you know, it's actually a lot of ground to cover. It's a lot of technology to you know, people ask questions about. It's a lot of principles and protocols. But really and truly, one of the things we have to kind of fully understand and appreciate is the context in which we're talking about these things, the foundation upon which we need to, you know, take actions and bring about good change for ourselves as members and for our clubs and its projects and its activities. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about context. I'm going to identify some of the issues that we all kind of face. You know, at some point, some of us have, you know, gotten over some of those issues. Some of us are now facing them. Some of us are still to face them. I'm going to, you know, talk about solutions a little bit. Go into and just touch very briefly on developing a plan. And then, you know, how best we can look at enhancing the public image of your club, your members, you know. And last thing I'm going to talk about is, you know, the district committees. So the first thing, right, understanding the context of what we're here to really kind of focus on today. Here are some kind of bad assumptions that clubs and members make when it's not specifically when it comes to public image or when it comes to communications, but sometimes those specifically, but also they make these assumptions in general. And one of the biggest ones is that, you know, technology is only for young persons. You know, my club or members of my club don't need to evolve. We're happy where things are. There's some kind of magic wand that solves all problems. It's not my job, it's his or it's hers, or it's somebody else's. And, you know, our brand is good enough, whether that's, you know, your brand as a club, your brand as a district, or even your brand as an individual. Within the same realm of context, I wanted to kind of point out some good philosophies to, you know, that we should all recognize and kind of apply when we're looking for solutions to some of these problems and some of those bad assumptions that we make, right? First and foremost, if anybody had the opportunity, I know not everybody did, one of the first videos that was shown today, which was about digital transformations, really spoke about, you know, with all the things that happen technology-wise and all the evolutionary steps that we've seen, whether in the last 10 years or actually whether in the last 3 months, with everybody kind of being forced to jump on technology. The common element there that will always remain the same is that people are the focus. Can never remove the people element of it. And that's something that's going to predicate a lot of what I'm going to talk about as far as communications and public image, because really and truly those two things are about people. It's not really about technology. Technology is a means to an end. Second good philosophy is diversity facilitates solutions. You know, it's never good to pigeonhole someone. It's never good to kind of, you know, look for too many specialties in one particular place. New members, different skill sets will help you solve that problem. Ignorance begets fear. That's one of my favorite ones. I think education and learning is the key to, you know, any kind of growth and development. And a lot of the times, you know, the reason people shy away from something or, you know, kind of pass it off is because, you know, they may not know about it and therefore a little bit afraid of it. And that's something that we kind of really have to correct. I just said about education and sharing being a key. And the last thing is that value is earned, not inherited. Again, that's a really key one right there. And that value goes across the entire thing. That's the value of your club, of Rotary in general, as you as an individual member of the organization. A lot of people think that they can rest on the laurels of others, but really and truly, you know, with people's attention spans, how they are these days, value is always something that you kind of keep having to add more to, put new efforts into, renew and reassure all the time. So some of the issues as far as communications and public image that we face, you know, in general, and I would not go so far to say that it's District 7030 thing. I know for a fact clubs all over the world face a lot of these same problems, which actually I'm going to use to our advantage. So what we found, or what at least RI has found, you know, within recent time, they did a survey a few years ago and they found that, you know, as far as the awareness of the Rotary brand and the awareness of Rotary as an organization, there was some growth. You know, people around the world knew more about the brand, or knew more, you know, at least heard the word Rotary before. And that's a good thing. But the problem is that, you know, there's a difference between being aware of it and understanding what that brand means, understanding what it means to be a Rotarian, understanding what a Rotary Club does as far as its activities, moving away from misconceptions, moving away from thinking that, you know, we're an old man's club, moving away from the misconception that, you know, we're a bunch of snobs, moving away from the misconception that, you know, we're the secret society. People need to understand that it's really about the projects and the activities that we do to help our communities. And that's what's lacking right now. They don't really understand what, you know, Rotary is and what a Rotarian really is. So that's where, you know, this little kind of inverted pyramid kind of comes into play here. Currently, where things are at is, you know, on a global level, people are aware of our brand, right? And that's where we've kind of been stuck for a little while as far as, you know, how well we've been pushing our brand out there. People know it, but they may not necessarily, you know, fully comprehend or fully really get who we are and what we do. But it's good that we're pushing our brand out there, because awareness is the first step in building that brand. The second step is understanding. And by increasing, you know, how people and what people understand about us as a club, us as Rotarians, us as a brand, will eventually generate a level of interest. It'll generate some more engagement, both from a membership level, as well as a, you know, stakeholder level, beneficiary level. And then eventually it'll bring about advocacy, and advocacy is always a good thing, because that's just where you get that really sweet support and you get that really good, you know, level of public relations, and public properly understands what you do, who you are. So given the fact that we're just, you know, at that first tier in that pyramid, the awareness level, you know, we clearly have an issue. We need to kind of evolve a bit in terms of how we put our information out there. And then the other problem that we have to realize as well, and one of the first presentations that was done way back in the beginning of May, is, you know, that relationship that our brand facilitates with our members. We really want our members to properly, you know, when they join Rotary or when they think about joining Rotary, understand what it is that they're getting involved in, understand what we do and how we do it, just like we would want the rest of the world to do it as well. So that's when we come up now to the idea of, you know, where our communication and our public image comes into play, right? And I just wanted to kind of distinguish the two things here, in the sense that, you know, what communication denotes is about delivering your message, and it's to a defined audience that you're sending it to. And public image is a, you know, idea of broadcasting your message to a broader scope, and hope that, you know, they capture it. On occasions, these things overlap, and usually where they would overlap, you know, in certain mechanisms like your website. With some people, it's for their newsletters, you know, where it's a fine line between who exactly are you catering these things for? Are you catering them to communicate, or are you catering them as part of your public image? Are you targeting, you know, internally to your members? Are you targeting externally to the public? So we need to always kind of be a little bit aware of where we stand in our communications. So in that sense, there's two types Again, the internal communications, at least within the context of this presentation, is where I'll kind of, focus it on how you communicate with your members. And then public image is obviously going to be focused a little bit more with how you as a Rotarian or you as a club communicate with the, public in general or the rest of the world outside of your club. So a lot of times, people get a little overwhelmed. They're not sure exactly how to proceed. They see this mountain in front of them. They're not sure really and truly how to, take the first step. But I'm gonna try and simplify it a little bit here. So really and truly, from a public image and a communication standpoint, you want your members to be fully informed about the vibrancy of your club. You want to know all that you can do to let the world know about the good work that your club is doing, its events, its projects, its activities. People like to hear stories about good work, about, humanitarian efforts, about social change, about these are the things right now. And just as a side note, when we always talk about, how to get young members engaged or younger persons engaged in Rotary, millennials, that's all they're about. They're just about social change. They're about, social justice. They're about helping humanity. So, I mean, we need to really push that idea out there that is really what Rotary and Rotary clubs do, and really and truly not anything else. Well, other than have fun and, hang out a lot. And then last but not least, which is something that William touched upon, is we want to remain consistent with the look and feel when it comes to the message we're putting out there, the, visual as well as, vocal message that we share with the public. It needs to be consistent. It needs to be standardized. And really and truly, that's so that it can be properly contextualized in the public's mind, and they don't confuse the fact that, it's a whole different set of Rotary clubs and everyone's different. And yes, we are different, but we're still the same in the sense that our missions are the same. We're all in this to help people. And at the end of the day, that's really what we need to push out there, is that we're all in this to help people. And we need to show how we help people, but we need to show that consistently. So we're going to talk a little bit about communication. I had a couple of definitions here, but I'll skip them for now. So major communications issues, that again are kind of within District 7030, but I know for a fact, and I think we all kind of know that, these issues are prevalent elsewhere outside the district and just globally, is that, from a communication standpoint, you got a lack of member participation, missing or outdated information, decentralized repositories of information, no one to really, curate and manage your data well. And in this case, when we talk about data, we're talking about things like member information. We're talking about things like, records for club projects. There's really and truly in a lot of clubs, this idea of setting something up just for 1 year and afterwards, you kind of have to hit the reset button and somebody else has to do it, and they may not necessarily continue the same process or continue it in the same way. So it's kind of a self-defeating mechanism or machine that we have going. Another kind of issue that's happening and has been happening more prevalently now is this idea of too much push information. People are getting exhausted between all the emails and all the WhatsApp messages and all the text messages and all the Facebook messages and all the, everybody's phone is essentially just pinging crazily all the time because, it's just way too much information being shared and coming at any one person at a time. And the natural tendency for anyone is to eventually just mute it, whether you mute it, physically or whether you mute it mentally, you just start to cut yourself off of it. And that's always going to be a big communication issue that has to be addressed. A few more, is that there's disharmony amongst multiple platforms in that, I'm never sure which means of communication people are paying attention to. Is it email? Is it WhatsApp? Is it a phone call? Is it, on Facebook Messenger? Nowadays, it's now, is it Zoom? Is it Skype? Is it Google Meet? They're just way too many platforms and not enough cohesion happening in terms of, how we really use them to the best of the ability and most efficiently to communicate. There's a lack of protocol a lot of the times, a lack of standards. People do, Tom does things one way and John does things another way. And, you can't really have a lot of good consistency and maximize the real opportunity there if there's a lack of standards and a lack of consistency. And then last but not least, it's, internal versus external communications. How do we communicate within our clubs versus how do our clubs communicate with everybody else? So some solutions that we can kind of, look at to help with these issues. And I'm just going to go through these really quickly. And I want to let everybody know at this point that this presentation, actually an expanded version of this presentation with a little bit more detail, a lot of, links to websites and some supplemental documentation is going to be available on the district website. So don't be too overwhelmed by what you may be seeing on screen. You'll have a great opportunity to download this and, use it as a kind of reference and resource for your coming year. So here's some basics, right? First thing we got to do is recognize we're not alone. This is not a one-man job. It's neither, a one-man job from the perspective of the club president, nor is it a one-man job from the perspective of your club public image chair. It really takes a lot of hands to get really good work done, to get it done in a sustainable way. So really and truly, it's a good practice to just say to yourself over and over again, there's help out there. I'm not by myself. The other thing you need to do is take small steps. A lot of people try to do too much too soon and it ends up kind of backfiring on them and it crashes and they just end up washing their hands of it and leaving it for the next year's person's headache. But small, consistent, positive steps at the beginning is always going to lay a good foundation, for continuity and for consistency. Don't try and remember everything. That's impossible. A lot of people kind of, have the habit of, I took notes, but then I can't remember why I put those notes. It's not necessary to remember everything. I think that's why there's the internet these days. Pretty much if you forgot, in most cases, you can pick up the phone, you can go online. You'll find an answer eventually. And then the last part is the idea that you need to lean on us. And by us, I'm going to use the term us a little bit. Us means the district. Us means the district public image committee, the district communications team. Us means the zone. Us means Rotary. Us means everybody. It's just, again, to reinforce the idea that you're not alone and the job doesn't have to just be about, you trying to figure it out. So I'm just going to go through a few points here. Again, William touched on some of these things already, so I may not go in as much detail with them here. I call this step 0. Step 0 is recognizing that you need to self-educate. By no means does it mean that you have to be an expert in anything. It just means make yourself aware of what's there, what needs to be done. Part of PETS is self-educating, participating in PETS and coming out each evening or each morning sometimes if it's Saturday to learn is self-educating. You've made the decision that I want to learn something new, and you're taking the action yourself to do it. So, again, I'll probably say this about 1 million more times. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And that's all part of self-education. You can ask a member of your club. You can ask a friend in another club. You can ask the district team. You can ask the zone team. You can ask, Rotary Club and district support staff. There are a lot of people out there that are poised, ready, willing, able to help. And, help you to find out more for yourself, help you to more or less, get yourself to a level where you're comfortable speaking about it. It's no longer a matter of ignorance and fear. It's now a matter of comfort and knowing exactly what's ahead of you and how to really tackle the problem. Internet's your friend. I think that is one of the easiest things to kind of convince people of. But sometimes there's such a thing as too much information and people just don't know where to go. So I'm just going to kind of highlight, even while the internet is your friend, which parts of the internet are your better friends? My Rotary is one of your best friends. RI's Learning Center is one of your best friends. YouTube and Vimeo, there's so much content, video content out there as far as, trying to find more information about a particular topic. And it's not just about, it's all the same type of videos. There's a wide spectrum of video types out there. There are training videos. There are videos that speak to pros and cons, advantages and disadvantages to certain, applications, technologies. Even within the Rotary sphere, there are videos that, will tell you what to do, what not to do, how to do it, why to do it. So, I mean, once you start looking, you will start to find a lot of information. And then, of course, when all else fails, just Google it. A lot of people tend to just do that, but I left it for last. So my Rotary, I think everybody here should at least by now know what my Rotary is. It's RI's primary information portal for clubs and members. Everyone right now, especially if you're a president-elect, secretary-elect, PI chair-elect, membership chair-elect, almost every director, chairperson, committee member in your club, actually your entire club, should be on my Rotary. And by that, I don't mean you just go to the website. I mean, you should be able to log on to my Rotary and really derive the benefit that RI has provided us with all its resources and all the information that's there. The other aspect of it is to make sure that members curate and manage their essential information. So, having an account is great. Having an account with the wrong information or missing information or out of date information, not so good. Because that's, again, the primary repository via my Rotary where, everyone from RI to the district, to the zone, to your club, to other clubs are going to more or less be able to find you and, know something about you. It doesn't have to be a lot, but at least they know your email address or they know your phone number. And it helps a lot when it comes to, internal communications, especially having that information there. As far as this will be, directed specifically because we have president-elects online. And I can speak safely because I know it applies to both districts 7020 and 7030. If you haven't done so, you should grant access to Club Runner. And that should be either the president or the secretary as far as the club's My Rotary status. There's the ability to essentially, say, okay, I'm going to give my Club Runner access to my club's My Rotary information. And I'm going to explain a little bit why you're going to do that later on. But those are the three things that you really need to focus on as far as my Rotary. So the district Club Runner is the second place that you can really start. A lot of people kind of get confused and not too sure what Club Runner is and where it starts and where, something else begins. So I just wanted to kind of let you guys see that little image on the screen. That's Club Runner. And that's where Club Runner kind of starts. And Club Runner is essentially this third-party club management system that has all these kind of, productivity tools and management applications built within it to really help the district manage clubs and members and their needs a lot better. A lot of people don't know this, but everyone can access District 7030's Club Runner account. And by everyone, I mean all members of District 7030. Once you're in a club in District 7030, you can access the Club Runner, District's Club Runner account. You can get into that back-end system. You can, use a lot of the functions and tools back there. Your club does not need to have a Club Runner account whatsoever. If it does, great. But if it doesn't, it's not a problem. You still have access to the District Club Runners account. The reason why I mentioned from my Rotary that you should ensure that your club has that access to Club Runner on is so that the district can sync all the member information between My Rotary and Club Runner. You just need to enter it, and your members just need to enter it in My Rotary, and Club Runner can pull it from there. But we can only do that if you give us the permission to do it, essentially. And last but not least, I remember a few years ago, somebody asked, why is it that the district does not have a mobile app? And I kind of answered them, and that was about 3 years ago. So I'm gonna answer the same question again. District does kind of have a mobile app. It's the Club Runner mobile app. If you've never used it, I suggest you just go on to your, relevant app store and download it. It's pretty cool. You can, view different clubs. You can view different members in clubs. You can find members in clubs. You can find information about those clubs. And of course you have full access to the district's website and all the district goodies that are in there. Pretty much, the account again, as far as the district club runner side, it's there to encourage and support members to, manage their profile if they want to add more information than what's, already there by default. Some people kind of create really, cool looking profiles and whatnot. They want others to be able to find them easier. It serves as a great internal communication hub for members and a great repository for contact information. And because it has this great email messaging center built into it, you don't really need to have everybody's email anymore once they're part of Club Runner, because you can use Club Runner's messaging center to just look up their name and send them something. You don't need to, it's not about creating a new email address. It's not any of these things. It's just the ability to find and communicate with whomever you want through that portal. These are some of the features of Club Runner. I'm not really going to go through too much on, but you get the idea that there's a lot of stuff there. The district website. So a lot of people, where they get confused is what's the district website and what's Club Runner. That image on screen, that's the district website. That's the front end portal and semi-public portal to district shared information resources. It's accessible. So most parts are accessible to the public. Some parts are only if you log on, but essentially, I mean, that's just our primary, or one of our primary faces that we put out there to the general public to say who we are as a district and, some of the things we do and the activities we participate in. As I said before, it's semi-public in the sense that certain information and pages require you to log on. Those pages are really just meant for members, not for the general public. And again, it serves as a primary mechanism for internal communication. So a few more things on it, just because how it's set up right now, it does provide a source of information and updates to members. If anybody follows the website, we try to post stories pretty frequently, whether it's stories that, are about things that are happening in the district, in the zone, RI, in a club, with a particular member. Usually, we have an open call for stories, blurbs, information, pictures. Clubs can submit it to us. We'll more or less, post, unless it's unsuitable for some reason. We'll share it on the district website, and it becomes this, kind of, again, central hub that if you want to find out about anything district or any members of the district, you can go there. It feeds other channels like our social media channels and whatnot, and it has an abundance of resources on the back end for clubs. I myself have uploaded at least, a couple hundred resource guides, training documents, references onto the district website. I can't say how many people have actually used it, but it's there. We got the zone website, which William kind of touched on a little bit, which is another great resource. Wouldn't spend too much time on it, but pretty much, you know, a lot of the stuff that's also on the zone site is copied onto the district site and vice versa. But it's always good to kind of check one or check the other if you're ever looking for something. I'm going to race through this part a little bit here when I talk about your club website. And the reason that I have these kind of numbered out is it's just my suggested order in how you can look at things. So, you know, after you've referenced My Rotary and after you self-educate and after you check out Club Runner and the district website, the next thing that you can really do in terms of solving your club's communication problems and whatnot is possibly looking at setting up a club website if you haven't done so. That becomes your club's primary portal to the rest of the world. But you got to ask yourself certain questions, you know, and you got to go through a kind of series of determinations in terms of whether a website is right for you or not. I would tell you in most cases, it's definitely not wrong for you, and that every club should have a website, but it's a lot of work and you should really, you know, I said, take small steps towards it. Don't think that you have to go from, you know, 0 to 100 right away. It's something that you can build over time. But once you have commitment and once you have a plan, it'll eventually happen. Social media, easiest one. Everybody's on it in some way, shape, or form. You know, but your club social media accounts are kind of key. And the reason that they're key is that, you know, everybody else is on social media. I use the term competitors here, and by competitors, what I really mean is, you know, other businesses, other non-government organizations, other charities, they're all on social media. So really and truly, you guys and your clubs need to be as well. There's some questions that we can kind of run through, but I'll, you know, save them for another time. Essentially what it comes down to is, as far as social media channels go, what you really need to pay attention to is who's going to be managing it, who's going to be posting information on it, what information you're going to be posting, who's your target audience for this information. Most people kind of take a blanketed approach to it, and kind of referencing what we described before, where, you know, eventually if there's just too much information, people start to go on mute and they'll just start ignoring anything that you put up there. So you have to be a little bit careful about what you use. There are a lot of choices out there. There's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's, you know, just a million of them right now. You got to recognize what the differences are. Each one has evolved into, you know, having kind of advantages and disadvantages, target audiences. You know, right now Facebook is experiencing a growth, and a lot of that growth is happening in an older audience. You know, people who wouldn't necessarily use Instagram, they're going on Facebook. And that's usually in that kind of, you know, 50 plus demographic. So that's a good thing. So some basic tips, right, for your clubs as far as social media is concerned. Make it a priority. If you're not on it, you need to get on it. You need to understand what the multiplier effect is when it comes to social media, and that really, you know, is a combination of things. But simply put, you know, there's no need to really reinvent the wheel each time for all the different channels for social media. These days, everything's connected. There are ways to really, you know, post once, but have it disseminate, you know, to 3, 4, 5 different platforms. Another part of the multiplier effect is the idea of, you know, good content will essentially now lead to, you know, organic growth in terms of how people share it, you know, and who they pass it on to. Make sure that you designate people specifically to do periodical posts about meetings, guests, projects, events. Encourage members to expand their contact lists. You know, get more members to get their friends to like your club page. You know, it's a kind of easy no-brainer to ensure that, you know, your exposure levels grow, your numbers grow on social media. They share it, then they share it with somebody else and shares it with somebody else. And I think friends and family are the best way to start. I'm going to skip through this one just to kind of save a little bit of time here. but we're going to talk about developing a plan. So really and truly, at the end of the day, what we want to do is we want to effectively combine and get to, some level of synergy with all our solutions and coming up with some holistic goals to get us to where we want to be. What that really means is you got to sit down and you got to think it through. What's realistic? What is it that's going to let me increase my visibility? What is it that's going to let me engage my members? What is it that's going to help me to, get better partnerships and support for projects? What is it that's going to, help me increase membership as well as possibly even get, more contributions from sponsors and benefactors? A plan is key. So I'm gonna check through that one. Okay, so when it comes to public image, goal here is essentially pretty simple. And again, William covered some of this in his golden nuggets, but we want to align with Rotary's strategic goal. We want to, make sure that our priorities are kind of in harmony with it. We want to make sure that our brands are in harmony with it. But in the same breath, we want to essentially, make it our own. And the best way we kind of make it our own is through this People of Action campaign. And I can pretty much summarize, what the People of Action campaign is. And it's all about trying to, get that level of awareness, get it from that level of awareness to that level of understanding. It's that brand, it's that, kind of call to action that allows the public to digest Rotary and who we are and what we do and how we do it. There's been a lot of time and effort that RI put into developing the People of Action campaign. There are a lot of resources available out there on it. If your club has never looked at any of them or only looked at some, I suggest that you go and check them out. They're in the brand center. But essentially, it just helps define Rotary. It helps, it helps us be able to kind of, under one umbrella, still be able to put the same message out there, still be able to be consistent and compelling in how we tell our stories. And as we've heard over the last few months, right, we want to make sure that our brand supports the vision, our club's brand supports the Rotary's vision. We want to make sure that Rotarians are actually seen as people of action. It should be more about people in action, the verb, versus people of action, the noun. Out of this entire slide here, I'm just going to focus on one thing, and that is that, members in clubs are brand ambassadors. Every single one of us is a person of action. Every single one of us is the Rotary brand. All of our stories are the Rotary brand. So we need to pay attention to that. We need to pay attention to it as an individual. We need to pay attention to it as a club. What's the brand that we're putting out there? How are we using this whole campaign that's at our disposal to put our brand out there? So media relations is a very key thing. I'm gonna just fly through this one really quickly, but essentially, simply put, if you don't have good relations with your local newspapers, television studios, cable networks, radio stations, even things like, in-house organizational or business magazines and whatnot, all those are great avenues for your club to get its message out there, to get its stories out there, to get more and more people to recognize what it is that we're really doing. But there's some rules and whatnot. The third thing that we have to look at is cross-promoting. It's the idea that, again, we have all of these different outlets, and we need to have a plan that can integrate, all these different facets that are available to us and our clubs, and come up with something that's going to not just be multi-tiered, but also efficient. We don't want things that are going to, have our members or a particular group of our members working, 24 hours a day, 5 days a week on it. So we have to just be smart and efficient. But really and truly, at the end of the day, we do want to integrate and cross-promote as much as possible with our stories and our brand. I mentioned the brand center. You know, pretty much these are kind of some of the items that are available there. It's a lot, and a lot of it is really good, and a lot of it is essentially just ready to go. It's made for you to just, you know, almost cut and paste to a certain extent. There's you know, just a snapshot of what the brand center offers. You know, everything from guidelines as far as, you know, visual and voice identity, and keeping in line with Rotary standards as far as the use of the mark of excellence, the use of the master brands. Yeah, it's filled with a bunch of resources that everybody should at least be checking out at some point, sooner rather than later. People of Action campaign, public relations guide, you know, a quick start for club social media pages. I think that's a really valuable one as well. William mentioned citations. I'm just going to summarize really quickly, you know, but I'll throw an extra one in. There's the presidential citation, which kind of gives and usually has some, you know, targets for public image for your club. It's always a good start, or at least a good way to motivate your club towards better public image practices. There's the Zone 34 public image citation, which is a little bit more specific, but you know, something that really helps clubs zero in on meeting their public image goals for the year. There's also the Zone 34 club video contest for some folks who are a little bit more daring. And what I wanted to kind of mention briefly is this year we're going to be introducing the district public image citation. And you don't have to worry. It's not going to make you have to do, you know, twice or three times as much work, because it's going to integrate into the presidential and zone citations. And it's also going to pretty much, you know, kind of help motivate more clubs to be involved by providing some incentives and rewards that I, you know, go into a little bit later. Or at another time, I should say. So I think, again, William covered it a good bit, so I wouldn't, you know, duplicate what he said already. But essentially, you know, follow the visual and voice identity guidelines from RI. You know, they help you really maintain a certain level of standard, maintain a certain level of consistency. One of the goals for this year is to, you know, kind of go around to all clubs and get an idea of where they're at as far as their branding, their club logos, help them if they need help with it, and try and see if by the, you know, at least the middle of the year, I wouldn't say the end of the year, but by December, we can get, you know, all 72 clubs in the district aligned properly as far as their brand is concerned. William mentioned some of these simple things and how to really tell your story, where you pin, there's something called your elevator speech, you know, how to tell somebody what Rotary is in 2 minutes. There are a lot of examples out there on how to do this and what to do. Google it and you'll find about, you know, at least 20 to 30 different stories you can download, or at least examples of stories, and you just adapt it. You just tell your story, what makes you feel comfortable. And then the last thing you can really do is just share content with friends. You know, the more that we tend to only share Rotary content with other Rotarians, that's great. But what we really need to be doing is sharing it with more family, more friends, just people in general, and really show them what it is that, you know, we're up to and what it is that we're about. You know, I say this a lot, but pretty much, you know, ask for help, and we got all these resources available to us. The district team, the zone team, the RI team, they're all there to help as far as public image is concerned. Last but not least, district committees. So the one thing I kind of wanted to do and take the opportunity to do here was to pretty much, you know, say, because I know sometimes there's a lot of ambiguity and a lack of information in terms of what the district committees are here to do. How do they really help us? You know, are they accessible? Are they approachable? The answer to all those questions is essentially, you know, it's one thing. The district committees are here to help the clubs and members in the clubs. In particular, the district communications team and the district public image team, they're here to help you guys. They're here to help members of your club get to where you need to get to. You know, we're going to be offering training and several types of training in different topics over the next 6 months or so. You know, a lot of the things that we kind of race through, yeah, I'm going to spend an entire session just talking about social media, or I'm going to spend an entire session just talking about websites. And, you know, drill down to that level and provide that service and that assistance that clubs and members kind of need to help them take that next step. And similarly, so the other district committees that make up 7030, they're there to do the same thing. They're there to help you. So really and truly, I think, you know, we need to, as clubs and as members, take better advantage of what district committees exist for and are really there to facilitate. Last thing, I thought this was kind of a appropriate way to close. I know there's a lot of stuff that I raced through and certain things that, you know, wanted to talk a little bit more on, but time's always against you. But here's my closing thought. At the end of the day, I kind of started, and I'm going to end this talking about people and how important people are. You know, what we're really trying to do here is we're trying to get people to contribute. We're trying to get people to support, and we're trying to get, you know, people engaged. And a lot of the times, you know, they're going to do these things because of an experience. Where we live in a competitive environment, we're always vying for people's time, people's resources, companies' resources. And, you know, what we have to look at is it's not just about a project, an activity anymore. It's about the experience to the members, the experience to the stakeholders, the sponsors, community leaders. We need to focus on the experience, and we need to tell that story, that experiential story, to everyone, as many people as we can, both internally in the club and externally to the public. And how we go about telling those stories needs to be organized in a particular way. We need to make sure that we're communicating effectively and efficiently. We need to make sure that, you know, we're using the right forms of communication. And yeah, just essentially try our best to work together, you know, whether it's through club collaborations, member collaborations. These days, there's no more restrictions. Geography is not a restriction anymore. We can all kind of benefit from each other. We can all learn from each other. And what we're learning from is everybody's experiences. So on that note, I'm gonna end. I'm probably way over time and not that bad. So gonna open it up. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sean, for a wonderful presentation, and I'm sure you're going to make it available to all of us. Lots of information there. Just a comment from Sheila Bethel, who said, don't forget to do the public image strategic plan for the year ahead. Check the citation requirements for guidelines. A couple questions, though, Sean, for you. This one comes from Jalim. How do we create a page or link to the district webpage so that we can post articles or projects to the district webpage? Or do we have to go through the district administrator?
So that's actually a pretty good question. If you're talking about the district webpage, Jalim, it is not going to be, you know, that accessible for non-administrators to post anything to it, just like you can't necessarily just go onto any website and post anything. There is a blog feature for articles. So if you see a story that's posted by on the website, there is a way for you to comment on it and share those comments. However, if you have a story and you want to share it onto the website, the current means right now is to submit it to, you know, the district team and get it published that way. However, there is a mechanism that we're looking to put in place where either through the district website or, you know, one of the district social media channels, clubs and individuals will be able to kind of submit stories automatically. I shouldn't say that, but let's just say more efficiently and electronically.
Okay, this other question, Sean, is in our PR stories, as the PR committee, should the president get involved in vetting these stories?
That's a loaded question. the president should be involved. I would not use the term vet because it lends itself to, you know, a pretty strong protocol. It's really up to your club and what process your club sets up. If the president really wants to make sure that all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed, and that's what we mean by vet, sure. But I mean, there really should be a proper protocol in place that you know, your club and your club's members are comfortable with in terms of how that information gets out there. Sometimes it means having to go through the committee, the board, the president. So other times, an individual or a team may just be kind of given the liberty to do it on their own. Really and truly, it's all about, you know, mitigating your risk. If you have confidence in the team to protect your brand, they don't really need to have it vetted. But if you want to make sure and you want to get as many people involved, vet away.
Great, great. This one is another one, comes from Liz, who wants to know, while Facebook is popular, the content gets embedded and could be lost. Would you suggest we use the website for more important events like projects?
Tricky question. Yes and no. So we're happy to put as much stuff as clubs want onto the website. Obviously, you know, it's a matter of viewership, and it's a matter of target audience, and it's a matter of what do you as a club want to get out of publishing that information. I get where Liz is coming from as far as, you know, it can get lost in Facebook, but put it this way, the only reason it may get lost in Facebook is because you may be just letting it get lost by adding too much stuff. Sometimes, like I said before, you know, less is more. Quality over quantity, especially if it is that you're trying to highlight a particular project or, let's say, a fundraising event. You know, you don't necessarily want to overwhelm people with too many stories. You want that to be your focus for a while. So, you know, over a period of time, you know, 60, 70% of your posts on Facebook should be about that project. That way it doesn't really get lost. The other way you can really look at it too is there are different tools and techniques within Facebook to keep certain posts kind of at the top of your page and always relevant. There's the story function as well in Facebook that you can use, where people can always kind of, you know, very quickly see what you really want them to see as a highlight as far as your social media channel. You're muted, Nigel.
This one comes from Karen. Please confirm for Club Runner that the website admin for the club can assign the incoming officers access rights, such as treasurer-elect to create and send due invoices, and secretary-elect to access information, etc.
Okay, I think I understand that question. So if we're talking about a club's Club Runner account and the different levels of administrative access in it, then typically there is one main administrator for a Club Runner account. Club Runner is the one that will designate or would have originally given the first administrator that right. And that administrator would then have to kind of pass those rights on to whomever takes over. But to answer the question as far as president, secretaries, and treasurer, again, it's the main administrator for a Club Runner's club account to delegate those administrative rights to presidents, secretaries, treasurers, so that they can access the additional functions in Club Runner, such as dues and billing, reporting, attendance, so on and so forth.
Okay, and there's one last question that we can have here is, we understand the need to standardize our logo, but we have over the years developed our unique logo, which we really would like to keep. How can we incorporate this into the Rotary requirements?
That's an awesome question that a lot of clubs actually face. Mine faced it. You know, there was a lot of time and effort put into developing a logo. And then literally less than a year later, everybody got hit with the new RI standardized requirements. There's no easy answer to the question, and there's no easy way to really solve it. It's on a case-by-case basis. Some clubs have become, took a little bit of time, put some thought and some ingenuity and creativity into adapting elements of their original logo into a new one that would better meet the RI requirements. Other clubs kind of had to do away with their old logo, unfortunately, altogether to meet the RI requirements. There's no perfect answer, but there is an answer, and it's something that, myself or other members of the team are more than happy to help that particular club or any club that needs that kind of help and advice in terms of getting there as far as their branding is concerned.
Sean, I am just going to say awesome. What I would like to do before, and I know you will make this available to us on the website, because there was a lot of information you had there in your slides, which if we are to move forward, PI is something that is very important to everyone in Rotary. So once you can take some time out and post it, I'm sure everyone would look forward to getting this information. At this point in time, I would just like to ask DGE Lyle to come in here and say a few words before we start wrapping up for the night, because someone else will wrap up.
Okay, thanks, Nigel. Fellow Rotarians, friends, over the last couple of months, I hope that we have become virtually friends. And I want to thank you all so much for being part of this Petson Assembly. I hope that you have gotten out of it what we have intended, and that is great information, had great fun, and that you will be able to use it not just for the year ahead, but forever. Tonight was vintage Sean Paddy. Sean Paddy revealed, as we say. Over the past couple of months, we've been having fun with Sean. And he, as you can see, he doesn't show himself off. He's very understated. But Sean Paddy has done an amazing amount of work. And I encourage you all to go to the district website, log in. He will help you to get in if you can't get in, but log in and you will find a tremendous amount of information on our website. Our website is becoming the center of our communication. It is going to be the hub. It will be the go-to site for every Rotarian in our district. I guarantee you all of the committees that we have for the coming year are up there, and they are populated as far as we can populate them for now, but they will be completed in the near future. But I also want to say a huge thank you to the rest of the team. Nigel, you've done a great job. Thank you so much. I want to say thank you to Liz and to AB. I want to say thank you to Natalie, to Vicky, to Hervé, our interpreters. We have actually made our Petson Assembly user-friendly for our French friends. And that was one of our objectives at the very beginning. Let us bring District 7030 closer together. Let us recognize the diversity of our district. Let us honor that diversity. And we committed at the outset that all of our French friends would have an equal opportunity to take on this training. Our Dutch friends, thank you for being so bilingual, at least. So most of you are trilingual and more, but we do know that a number of our French friends found it extremely difficult in past conferences without the interpretation. So our team has been awesome, truly awesome. Without team, we are nothing. So you've seen how team works together. My last parting shot to you is, while we keep our eye on the vision and we remember that we're a family, a Rotary family together, let us not lose a single member because of the COVID crisis. Let us do everything in our power as clubs to keep everybody, because they will come back. Financially, they may suffer today, but tomorrow, if you let them go, they will never come back. But if you help them now, you will have members tomorrow. So let us not turn our back on our friends. Let us keep Rotary together. Not one member lost because of COVID. That's the mantra. And friends, it's going to be an awesome year ahead. Let's have fun together. I know it's going to be different, but hey, you've been chosen as leaders in probably one of the most challenging times. So Rotary opens the opportunity, and let's grasp that. As my old school mantra said, carpe diem, seize the day. Thank you all, and I leave it for my friend Leslie and the rest to take it away. I really look forward to working with everybody, 70-20, 70-30, all of us, Rotaract, Rotary, Interact, Early Act, as we take Rotary forward in the next year. Thank you.
DG and Leslie, if you can just say some closing remarks, please. Leslie, we're not hearing you.
No, can't get on.
You're on now.
Okay, good evening. Fellow Rotarians, and so the curtains have come down on our final official training session, 2020 PETS and District Assembly. I think as Lyle indicated, was a fantastic training season dating back to March. I think we've covered all possible grounds of club administration and Rotary matters throughout the training period. President-elects and secretary-elects have been subjected to tremendous training. We've had the best resource persons from the Rotary world providing training for us, and it certainly has been very, very good. COVID-19 has made it possible to have virtual, has made it thing that we had virtual training via the Zoom platform, ably managed by Blue Man Sean. We have come away with a lot of very, very important information, and I want to tell President-elects, as you go forward in your new year, you're armed with all the important Rotary information that was presented to you. Take it in good stead, and I wish you every success as you take up the leadership mantle of your clubs for the incoming Rotary year. Thanks to all the persons behind the scenes, to all the presenters, for a wonderful District 70-30 training, PETS and District Assembly. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, District Governor Designate Nominee Leslie. To District Governor Lyle, it has been a pleasure serving you. Thank you for your kind words. To the rest of District 70-30 as well as District 70-20 who are on board here, this is just the beginning of what is to happen during the year. And as the district trainer, please feel free to contact any one of us who have been here for you during the past few months, and we will continue to be here for you during the year. To William, who so graciously gave of his time this evening, thank you very much for being here. And to Sean Paddy, thank you so much, Sean, for your great work in the background. We could not do this without you, literally. And to the rest of the team, Liz and Abe, who Lyle thanked before, and the translators, Hervé, Natalie, and Vicky, thank you so much. And you know, I mentioned this before I sent him a private message, but PDG David Edwards has been a beacon of inspiration in the background. Every single meeting, just to see his face here has been reassuring. And PDG David, thank you for being here at every single meeting. I don't think you realize how much it meant to all of us who was doing this training. So thank you for being here and for being part of all of this. So District 7030 and 7020, I sign out now, but rest assured that we remain available for your comments. We will be sending out a survey later on, so please fill it out because it will guide us throughout the rest of the year. Thank you very much.